Hi, welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm Tina Howard. Today we have one of my absolute all-time favorite people. We have Tammy Hutchinson with us today.
I am thrilled to death to be here. Thank you, Tina.
I am so thrilled you're here. So thank you first off for being here with me today. You are so interesting and full of so much good information, and I know that a lot of people like me will learn from you today. So I'm going to kick it off by way of introduction. Tammy Hutchinson lives here in Hartwell with her wonderful husband, Derek Hutchinson. We call him Hutch, or Hutchie. And Tammy and Hutch have lived in Hartwell for about how long now?
12.
12 years.
Yes.
And you were a weekender before that.
Yes.
And you moved here 12 years ago. Your children are grown up.
Yes.
And you and Hutchie have a million interests: golf, fishing, all kinds of lake activities.
All of his woodworking. So he stays busy in his part of the house, and he locks the door to keep me out. He's so happy to be able to do that. And I just stay busy in town, doing wonderful things with wonderful people that we've met here.
And to give you an idea of how involved Tammy is in the community, you were recently honored by the Chamber of Commerce at the banquet. I had tears in my eyes when Christy Rucker announced that you had won Community, I'm drawing a blank, Community Champion. Oh.
I keep my trophy over the bed, and I point to it all the time.
To see people...
Undeserved.
No, absolutely deserved. And from the minute you moved here, you jumped right in, working with all kinds of organizations. You've done, how many things have you done? You've been with the DDA, I know, very active in the DDA and the Chamber. What other activities have you had in terms of community?
Well, we love our church. We're at First Methodist, so we love them and the people there. And
are you in the
I'll think of a million different things.
Are you in the garden club?
I'm not.
But you're a master gardener, aren't you?
I love to garden.
And you're very good at it.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure about that. I got about 6 or 7 tomatoes last year, so no.
But your flowers are beautiful.
I enjoy. And the flowers in my flower baskets, yes. I do take a lot of ridicule, but that's okay. I don't have to water them.
Are they plastic? I thought they were.
Yes,
but
people ask me all the time, really.
Well, they are lovely.
But I try to change them out often enough so that the green leaves don't turn blue. That's my key, is when that starts happening. But no, I go to the Y a lot.
And you play pickleball.
And play pickleball, so happy with
tennis?
that.
Haven't you played tennis?
Yes.
And I think you or your family were involved in the Imagination Library and the Low Country Boil.
Yes, my sister Tia Athens, that I get mistaken for. I think that community champion should have gone to Tia Athens, because truly she's involved in so many things. So she does great work.
Yes.
And yes.
So, but the thing that brought tears to my eyes was seeing not only the people, your friends who were so happy for you, but the young people that came out for you. Oh, that was so nice. They lined up at the door. Was that a surprise?
Oh,
the whole thing was a surprise.
The whole thing was a complete surprise.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
So nice.
When Karen Vahaley, who was sitting at my table, got up to go introduce, I thought that she was going to be introducing Alan Brown, this wonderful guy from the church who collects the trash that's left out in front of our houses all along the highway. He collects it every Friday, goes up and down the highways, and so some of us wrote letters for him and that sort of thing, and Karen had suggested him too. And so I thought, I haven't seen Alan Brown here tonight. And then she started talking, and I thought, oh my goodness. So then when
I completely forgot Karen introduced you. I thought Christy Rucker did, but you're right, Karen Vahaley did.
Yes. And then when the students walked in, it was just an amazing thing.
It's not typical for somebody to be the stage of life that you are and to have good friends who are teenagers. But you do have a special relationship. It's with the young people, and they love you. They just think of you as
Grandma.
No, not Grandma. They think of you as a friend, and I think that's such a neat relationship that you have with the young people. And to see them come out and be so happy for you was just so
They are
thrilling.
special.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to mention that fabulous class we had. We're going to talk about the cotillion.
Yes.
So, for 35 years, I've been teaching cotillion, which is dancing and manners program. Officially, it's a French word for fancy dance, and in a lot of cities up north, the young ladies are presented in their beautiful gowns, and their escorts are handsome, and their parents are proud, and it's a beautiful ball. But traditionally now, in today's time, it is classes in etiquette and dancing and becoming social. And it is such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for the children and for me. It's just something that I knew I needed to have my children participate because they would announce at the dinner table, am I being a pig tonight? Did I do better tonight? You know, after I'd hammered them when they were starting to get to be teenagers. Mm-hmm. That's when it becomes so evident what a failure you've been as a parent when you see how they do at the table. Mm-hmm. So,
and
anyway.
It isn't something that's intuitive. It is something you must teach.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times we're a much less formal society now. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times people think, I don't really need to know that. And yet these same people would talk about lacking confidence in social situations. That's exactly why you want to learn those things. You can't, whether you live in rural America or a big city, whether you were in the 1920s or in the 2020s, you need to know how to carry yourself and how to comport yourself. And it gives you confidence to know what's appropriate in certain situations. I shared this story with you yesterday. When I was about 13, the summer, I think between the 7th and 8th grade, my mom knew how to do everything. And I just thought that was intuitive and I would figure it out too. I never realized that she actually was taught things. And she told me once in the summer between the 7th and 8th grade that she had booked me some classes at a local, it must have been a cotillion school back in the 70s in Atlanta where we lived. And I visited the school and I put on my best 13-year-old face and said, I don't need to know any of that because I will never need to know that. Well, fast forward a few years, and I cannot tell you how badly I needed to know those things because I entered situation after situation where I was unsure where to put my hands or which fork to eat with or how to set a table or how to talk to people. And I wish so often I would go now at 55. I might take your class. So I think what you're offering to people locally is something like what I was offered back in the day, and how I wish I had taken advantage of it. So you did have a cotillion and etiquette class here.
Yes.
And it was a year ago?
Yes.
2 years
Last
ago?
January.
Last January. And it was well attended from what I remember.
Yes, it was wonderful. It was, the high school students came in. I was just so beautifully pleased with their interest. They came in, we held it at the Art Center, and from the very beginning, they came in and they would be sitting, honestly, I think I said this in my thank you speech that night, that they were just sitting, leaning forward, just wanting to hear these things. And they learned great dances, and they are smashing. I mean, they are fabulous. The swing and the shag and the line dances, we did it all in, I think it was like a 4 or 5 week class with a big dinner at the end, so that they practiced all their dining skills. And business interviewing and things like that. So it was, they were just ready to hear it from the get-go. And it was so pleasing because I hadn't taught in about 10 years. Atlanta is just doing beautifully. I still have my program there, and we teach probably 1,000 students a week.
Wow,
in
that's
all
a
the
lot.
different junior highs and high schools.
That's quite a legacy.
fabulous.
You were the founder of the Cotillion Group many years ago when I guess your children were small?
Yes.
Did it come about because
After the pig thing, I just said, I've got to find, obviously, what I am doing at home is not enough. And so I found out about this wonderful lady, Doris Drysdale, and contacted her to come and teach my son's class. And so I loved what she taught. We put on Michael Jackson's Beat It.
Oh, yeah.
And she had those kids dancing, and I just thought, this is too good.
Yeah.
And so I bought a franchise from her and learned everything I could, and then bought her program. And then started my own, and we have, I think, about 8 teachers teaching in Atlanta, in all the schools, and just, it's fabulous.
That's wonderful.
It's fabulous. So 10 years went by and I had not taught, but some wonderful parents said, we want you to come here to do this. And it was great.
Let's cover a few topics about what you teach and have taught, just so that we can kind of give an overlay of what types of things are involved. You told me that first impressions are so important when you're meeting someone, how you should carry yourself when you're meeting someone, especially in a professional situation, but also in a personal situation. So give us some thoughts about first impressions, how to make a good first impression.
Well, in truth, people really see you for how you look.
Like it or not.
It's not a surprise.
It's visual,
really.
Right? Mm-hmm.
You see somebody walking down the hall at school, and they make an impression on you. Mm-hmm. And that impression can be sustained. Mm-hmm. They can think well of you from that moment on, just from that.
So just talking about the looks for a second.
It's the look, it could be the way that you stand, it could be the smile on your face, which is so important. It probably not so much the dress.
Because we spend a lot of time thinking about fashion.
Yes.
So are you saying don't be so fashion forward, but be...
have your clothing be pressed, neatly pressed. Actually, it's better in these days to be wrinkled, and it kills me. But and appropriate. Those are the criteria I would give. But I don't say, spend a lot of money on your wardrobe,
Okay.
but just whatever you have on that has you feeling good
Okay.
will give you confidence. And so we say, if there's something that you don't feel right about, if something doesn't fit right, or the zipper doesn't work right, or too long, too short, too tight, take it off, start again, do better, because you don't want to be concerned with that. You want to be able to just be in the moment and be able to talk with Tina, rather than wearing,
You just described my every morning getting ready, because I never know. As I said, my mom was always put together. But so the look is about the right.
Yes. And then
Okay.
the other aspect that we teach the children is what you do in that first
First impression.
impression,
Okay.
first few seconds.
Like what?
Like if you're sitting down, somebody walks into the room, you're up out of your chair.
Oh, you stand up.
immediately.
No matter whether it's man, woman.
Men and women
Okay.
for the same.
Somebody
you're
comes in the
greeting
room.
them. You're going to be greeting them.
Okay.
Now, if they're someone who has nothing to do with you, they're just passing through, then you're okay. But if you are sitting outside waiting for someone to come to conduct an interview, then you're up out of your chair. If a guest comes into your home, you're out of your chair.
Okay. Okay.
What's the other thing that you would be doing is shaking hands. It's
Okay.
very important. Get your hand out there so they know exactly what you want to do, rather than standing there
Okay.
waiting for them. You offer your hand.
You offer your hand.
Yes.
And again, no matter whether you're male, female, no matter the age, extend a hand and be
Exactly.
ready to shake hands. Now, I've always heard eye contact too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
People really trust people who make eye contact.
So that's good to know, first impressions. Good to know. What other types? We didn't have to think about this probably when you founded the Cotillion Group, but now with our devices, our mobile devices.
Our mobile devices. It's amazing what they and the computers do these days. So many times I just wish I could throw, we've seen movies where people have thrown them away. You just say, hooray, that's good. But you cannot do without them these days. And so we have to admit that. So what we tell the children, the adults, is that by taking a call when you are talking with someone else, that makes you seem very important. You've taken a call from a very
Oh, look how important I am.
person.
I'm having this call, but hold on, I've got to take this call.
Yeah. But by looking over and clicking off, that tells me that you're much more interested in me.
In social situations, if you're at a party, for example, you've been invited to someone's house for a party, and you go, and the right place for the phone is in the purse or the pocket or the car, right?
Yes.
Because standing at a party and wouldn't be a good idea, probably.
No. No.
And when you meet people,
Have you in your family, have you ever enforced that?
well, if any of my kids would watch, they would tell you that their cellular devices met the lake on more than one occasion.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Now, that ended up punishing us because then when they had to have another phone, but yeah.
Wow.
I'll never forget, we were driving to town, and it's very distracting when you're engaged with somebody who is otherwise engaged, right? So I'm talking to you, but you're on your phone, and so this was always happening with the kids. And we were driving to town one day, and the kids were older. They were, in their teens and driving, but we were all in the same car. And Bo or I, asked the kids a question in the back seat. No answer. We asked again, no answer. We turned to look, and they were so busy on their phone, nobody was listening. Bo, with one hand, reaches in the back, grabs the phone, rolls the window down, flings it off the bridge.
At the bridge.
And we happened to be going across the bridge at the time, and he flung it. Now, we're probably going to get arrested for littering, but it went all the way into the lake.
Oh, my word. That is a beautiful story, except what was the aftermath?
Well, the kids weren't happy, of course, and then we always had a cell phone ban at the table. You could never have a phone at the table, ever. And we had rules, of course, about evening. If we were all watching a movie together, no phones. Mm-hmm. And that was hard because the kids would rather be on the phone than watching the movie with the old man and the old lady. So it was hard. It's hard to compete with the phones. So
it is, definitely.
And you mentioned to me one other time about there is a right way and a wrong way to introduce people. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know what? I think any way that you introduce people is good. I don't think we should make it difficult.
A lot of people don't do that,
And they don't, and I think it's because people have made the rules so hard that you think, I'm supposed to introduce this one to this one, and I can't even remember his name.
Isn't that true? Because you get under pressure in a minute, and you know the person, but the name just goes away.
The name's gone.
Yeah.
So, you just have to say, I just messed up.
Yeah.
Help me out here. but there are a couple of easy rules. You introduce the older to the younger. So you say the older person's name first, and then the younger one's name. Dad, I'd like you to meet Mary.
Okay, so you say the older person's name first.
To the younger one.
Dad,
if they're
I would like
the same
you to
age, don't worry about it.
Okay.
But in that case, it's girl, boy, same age.
Okay.
Or, growing up, girl to the boy.
Okay.
Mary, I'd like you to meet Jerry.
Okay.
Okay. And then in business, it's senior, junior.
Okay.
The boss.
The boss. And so you say Mr. Boss?
The junior. Yes.
I would like for you to meet Mr. Junior.
Mr. Junior.
Okay.
Simple. And you don't have to repeat. Dad, this is Mary. Okay? You don't have to go back.
Mary, this is Dad.
And the other thing we try to show that is you don't have to do all this. You just look at the one and you look at the other as you say their names. That's the hardest part, is to not point. But
no pointing.
No pointing.
Ever, right? Pointing is bad.
No pointing.
No pointing, okay.
But
this is okay, but not.
Yeah. Yes. Not you.
I don't think I point, but I'm wondering.
No, they aren't pointing. We aren't pointing, but we tend to go like this.
We can gesture.
Yeah.
But I see people pointing all the time. And it does feel, when the point is at you, it does feel like you want to smack it out of your face,
but
right?
You know what? Just do it. Just introduce.
Any introduction is better than no introduction.
And when you go somewhere with somebody else, introduce them to people you run into. Don't stand and talk with them. And what happens is they say, I would have introduced you, but I could not remember her name. So, and that happens so much that we forget people's names.
Right.
And so I just always say my name first,
Okay.
So that people don't have to be worried about what's her name
Excellent
again.
point, Tammy,
So-
because, with social media especially, we may have 1,000 friends, but we
Yes.
don't, but seeing someone face to face, their name might not come up automatically. So, so it's best to just say,
Yes.
Tammy.
Say, I know it, yes.
And that's good to know about introductions, because I always knew there was a way to do it, but I could never remember if it was the senior to the
Older,
junior.
younger,
Older, younger. Okay.
girl, boy,
Girl to boy, older to
senior,
younger.
junior.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
There is an exception,
Okay.
and that is if you are in the presence of somebody really important, like the minister at your church, and you want him to meet your mom,
Okay.
you would say his name first,
Okay.
and then your mom's.
Okay. Okay.
So that sort of thing.
Do you have any tips for, this is silly, but we find ourselves waiting a lot in common areas with people. Obviously, the way you
Conversation.
Okay.
Is that what you're going to ask?
Yes.
That is one of the hardest things, and that is a question that I knew that you would probably ask people.
Because you see me struggling awkwardly.
No, not at all.
Because we do find ourselves waiting, whether you're waiting for a table at a restaurant, or waiting in a
Yes.
crowd, or standing in
Yes.
line, or
Yes.
waiting at church before it
Yes.
starts, or something like
Yes.
that. So any tips?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what? Just start a conversation by where you are at that very moment. If you're standing in church,
Okay.
say, I wonder if what the choir is going to be singing today, or I wonder if we're going to have communion today, or something.
Or if you're in a restaurant, I hope they have the Brussels sprouts special.
Yes.
Just something like that. Just
Yes,
something.
I use Brussels sprout things all the time.
You're just making me feel good. Sometimes you have to be careful not to cross the line to be nosy, because I think in our Southern culture, we ask questions of one another that we don't when we don't know. And here's an example of this. I really never thought about it until, as part of my work, I had to tour some officials around Atlanta, and they were from different countries, and they all had some level of some title, ministry of this and director of that. And I was terrified, of course. And they wanted to buy laptop computers because they heard that Made in America computers were the best, and I couldn't help but think, well, where did you hear that? But anyway, so I took them to Circuit City, which is now no longer in business. But there was a young salesman, and we were all standing, and it took a long time for the computer to do what it was supposed to. So he made a stab at small talk. Where are y'all from? He said. They looked at one another like, I don't want to answer that. And finally someone said, we are from overseas. And he said, are you here on business or vacation? And they thought that they were under surveillance or something. They were tugging on my sleeve, we've got to go. And I'm like, no, it's okay. This is in the South. So the question I have, is it okay to ask people questions?
I think, of course.
You think?
If people are out and about, they want to be social. And I don't believe those questions were
Out of line.
He's a salesman,
He's thinking, he's chit-chatting.
Yes. So, no, I think, but as long as the questions are generalized,
Okay.
You go to a social event, you're standing in a group with a group of people, and everyone heads to the serving table, and you're left with one person that you haven't met before. you just naturally introduce yourself and then start the conversation with, how do you know the host?
Exactly. Okay.
So start the conversation with where you are at the time.
In the moment.
And then listen to the response and then ask another question. And we teach it as like a tennis game. You just keep the ball going back and forth. Listen. Got 2 ears. There's a point. Listening is such an important skill. And then keep it going that way and just broaden your questions to go elsewhere, in
accordance with their answers. A lot of people tell us now that we listen to respond, but when we really should listen to understand. I think that's true.
That's good.
You bring up the buffet table or the food. We find ourselves in that situation a lot, whether you're at a family night supper at church or whether you're in a buffet in a restaurant or a wedding often has a buffet.
Yes.
Are there certain rules? I mean, I know you don't hover over the table, right? You don't.
Oh, that looks good.
But it can be difficult sometimes to know when you've got multiple things that you're holding. A plate.
There is an art to that.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely in your little plate and your glass.
This one. So you're holding the buffet plate, and you've also got a fork, and you've also got a napkin.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and the napkin's underneath.
Tilt that so they can see that. Okay, so your napkin is, you hold your napkin with the fingers underneath.
Yes. Okay. Oh, look, I happen to have a. Okay, so our napkin is underneath. Okay. And then our glass. Okay, but if it's like a wine glass, then you have that too. And how then do you greet somebody with a handshake? You just don't. You don't want to sacrifice your food or your drink. No, that's not true.
But we often find ourselves standing.
Yes.
And so you almost have to, you're saying you have to get someplace where you can put something down so you can eat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's sort of a pet peeve of mine in a lot of business and a lot of weddings and social situations is you have this beautiful buffet and all these great foods and you've got a glass of wine or a tea or a bottle of water, whatever. But there's no place to sit anything so you can eat and you're looking at this delicious plate and you can't do anything about it. So you really,
find a friend who is not quite so occupied and have them
hold my beer,
hold something.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
And if you're giving a party with a buffet, it might be one thing to think about is to have these little stations to make
little
it easier.
tables.
It is so important to know how to set a table. And now in our less formal times, we think I don't use the dessert fork or the latte spoon or whatever. But there are certain ways that you set a table. And we've got plates and silverware, so you're going to show us.
Well, I must admit, I forgot to bring my plate setting. And so we're just modifying it. Do I look into this? Okay, so this is just fabulous information. Okay. Silverware. All silverware that has 5 letters. What would that be?
K-N-I-F-E.
Okay. All silverware that has 5 letters goes on the R-I-G-H-T. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. S-P-O-O-N?
Yes.
Goes on the R-I-G-H-T.
Yes. All silverware that has 4 letters goes on the left side.
Fork, F-O-R-K, L-E-F-T, left.
Yes.
Gosh, even I can remember that.
Okay. And great for grandkids to practice, okay? So then So just pretend we've got our spoon here.
Okay.
Okay. All food, extra food that belongs to you.
Like a salad plate?
Like a salad.
Okay.
The bread and butter. If you're at a restaurant that orders like a la carte, means individual things like a baked potato, broccoli, something on a special plate. Everything like that goes on the left side.
Okay.
All drink, D-R-I-N-K, goes on the right side.
R-I-G-H-T.
So it's food, F-O-O-D, extra food, no matter what it is, goes on the left.
4 letters left.
But these are important rules. I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty, but these are rules that will help you. And you can act so smart. When you go to a restaurant, you can say, I found out that this is my water and this is my salad here, okay? Okay, so another rule. I'm rushing through a few rules. How are we doing?
We're good.
Okay. Do you know how to use your silverware? So the deal is, you should be able to look at your, if you're at a fancy party, or you've gone out on this to this wonderful restaurant, and they've got all this silverware there. You can look at it and be able to know. You would know that you are going to be using a lot of silverware tonight.
Okay.
And so you go from the outside in.
Outside in. So if you would find your salad fork would be on the outside because you're going to start with that. So that would
your
be on
salad
the
will be one of the first things that you will be enjoying.
Okay.
So that would be on the outside. On this side, that little shrimp fork is if you order a shrimp cocktail or escargot, the snail, you would use that. And this may be at a place setting at a home where the hostess has a wonderful meal planned to welcome you back to Hartwell or something. So if you see this little fork over here, you'll know we're going to have a shrimp cocktail tonight. So, so with each one of the courses, your silverware will be going away.
Okay.
So by the time you get, then your soup.
Okay.
You would be using your soup.
Okay.
And then that would be gone. And then your entree silverware.
Okay.
And
so by the entree, you're down to just the fork and the knife, most likely.
And generally, at a very nice function, you would have a spoon or a fork up top.
Okay.
And that would be, what do you think?
Dessert?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason it's up top is because there's no more space here.
They ran out of room.
You just run out of room, especially
and
if you
I'm telling you guys,
table.
if somebody who is a young person is watching this and they're thinking, I'm probably never going to go to an expensive restaurant, it doesn't have to be an expensive restaurant where you see this. If you take a continuing education class someplace that involves a meal, this is what you will encounter.
Great.
So I think everybody needs to know this kind of thing.
And to be able to boast that you know
and feel comfortable.
what that is.
Right.
That's the whole
To feel
point.
confident eating socially, that would be a good thing to be. So let's say that you've finished, you've got your dinner and you've eaten all that you're going to eat.
Oh, well, let's not finish quite yet.
Okay.
This is hugely important.
Yes.
We aren't done eating.
You mean that the silverware like that means...
I've been eating, but
I'm going to take a break.
I'm going to take a break, or I've been asked to dance if you're at a club or something.
Okay.
Or you want to visit the ladies' room, this is how you leave your silver.
You don't want the waitress or waiter to take your plate, or the host or hostess. So that's how you leave your silverware, and that's the signal that
It's
you're
like
not
an
finished.
upside down V.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So now you're done with your meal, and I think this is critical.
Okay.
And I say critical because it says to me that you know you have taken classes. Or better than classes even. Not really better than classes, but in this equal importance, your grandparents have told you how to do this.
Yes. So when you're finished, you align your silverware and you leave them on the plate. Now, what do you do with the napkin?
The napkin can go folded up till you don't want to show lipstick on
Okay.
it or anything.
Yeah, the good
Just
point.
beside your plate.
Just beside
when
the
you're
plate.
done.
Just kind of folded so you don't see
Right.
food.
Gravy.
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 So you'll fold it and just tuck it there beside the plate.
And the same if you have to, when you're leaving the table, you know,
Yes, if you do,
you can put it on your seat
on your seat.
or beside your plate.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Okay.
But this to me is key.
Yes.
And the staff should know when you show them this, even though there may be still food on the plate, they should not have to ask you, are you finished? That is so annoying to me. And also when it's left like this, it's so much easier for them to take away.
Right. That's a great point.
When it's left like this,
Yeah.
with the knife.
Or worse,
balancing.
if the silver is on the table and the wait staff has to pick it up and put it on the plate for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess stacking plates when you're done is a no-no, right?
No.
Okay, I knew that. It's tempting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I knew not to do that.
I know. Let's get them all out there so that they can pick them up
Right.
in one.
Making it easier,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But no, you should leave them right where they
and
are.
if you're a waitress, according to your restaurant's requirements, but I feel strongly that you should wait until everybody at your table, unless it's a huge table of 8 people or so. But if it's a table of 4 or 6, just wait for everyone to finish with their meals.
It's funny you
before
say that.
you start taking their dinner guests' plates away.
I am the slowest eater.
Me too.
And I enjoy food. I love food. And so I eat slowly, and I find myself a lot of times the only person with food still
Yes.
working, and everybody else is done, and the place is cleared. And I feel so awkward. I think
I
I'm
know
eating
it.
so slowly.
But you would not feel so awkward if their plates were still there.
Right.
And I'm sure they are there having a scintillating conversation around them watching your every bite. Okay, this is another thing.
Okay.
Elbows.
Elbows on the, as I sit here with my elbows on the
No.
table.
You did not remind me of that, but I was just thinking about people sitting around
Now,
the table talking.
does this mean conference tables too, or just dinner tables with the hands and the elbows? It's not good, is it, for any table, right?
No, I think
Think it's
conferences.
okay. Just
when
not
you
when
just
food.
don't have food.
Okay.
Right. But honestly,
Because I do remember no elbows on the table. That I remember.
I know it. It's a rule that our parents gave us,
It is.
and it's true.
Yeah.
But this is what we're talking about. You know, this. Okay. It's like caveman. So this
see
is
it.
definitely not good.
Okay.
But the food has been taken away, and there's a coffee sitting there in front of you, and you're enjoying this conversation. You're leaning forward. Your elbows can be on the table. It's
Totally
just,
makes sense to
Yes.
me. Okay.
it's just when there is food
Plate in
there,
front of you.
because cuts off every.
As my kids would say, that's the intent.
Oh,
funny.
Cute.
What about hats inside? Ooh, the face tells me everything I need to know.
Hats off.
Hats off. Even ball caps.
Anytime inside.
Okay.
Anytime.
Anytime.
You don't need them, take them off. And they cut off conversation. These are the rules. You can choose whether you want to break them or not, but at least you know what they are.
That's right.
When a funeral goes by, national anthem, the pledge to the flag. I think those are the important times.
Okay.
Those are when the rules
Good
say
to know.
take them
I think
off.
a lot of young people don't know that.
No.
They don't know that.
No. But
Let's say
having them
they've been-
on, inside, add that to this.
You're right.
Oh my goodness, that's not good.
Right. Even if there's hat hair, it's better to have the hat off, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You could be teaching one of my classes.
I'm learning so much. Let's talk about something else that a lot of young people, and let's face it, throughout life, we need to know this. If you find yourself a young person who's single, or if you find yourself later in life that you're single again, dating etiquette. Is that different today than it was in the past, or has it always been?
I don't know, honestly, the difference between then and now. I would tend to think that the basic good manners is always important.
In style, right? Good
no
manners,
matter what.
Good manners are always in style. Did you tell me that? I
Just
think you
now.
did. I think you did tell me that.
Now,
Good manners are always in style.
sometimes 2 and 3 minutes goes by and it's gone. But
So what kind of dating etiquette do you think is important, regardless of age?
for older people, they use the dating sites now. And still, if I were a single female, I would still like for the gentleman to hold my door, to attempt to hold my chair. If I didn't want it done, I would sit quickly before he gets a chance to hold it, or I get to the door first.
That's always good manners. Our daughter had a prom date, and I was so impressed with him because he came over and he was such a gentleman, and he did all of the things that you're talking about. He came to the door. He didn't honk the truck. Honk, honk. He got out of the truck and he came to the door and he knocked on the door. He came into the house and he made conversation with us, shook hands with us, made eye contact. And then when they left to go to the prom, he held her car door open and helped her get in because, well, it was a tall truck and she wasn't a dress, but he did help her, get in, and closed the door securely and went back around. And Bo and I just thought, oh, what a nice young man.
There you go. I mean, his parents should be so proud. And not only that, but I'll bet you Toma was thrilled to death.
It made her feel
herself.
Good. It really did.
She felt very special. And so the boys need to realize how it makes the girls feel too when they do these nice things. Not only do they impress the parents, oh my goodness, that young man is going to go places. And people can see that from the beginning of time when they're raising their children. If you just keep after the kids, after them, be such a net to make certain that they say the right things, say thank you and
please and thank you are big.
and that they empathize and try to understand, when people are sad or that sort of thing. Those are important things that the kids learn, and they just keep accumulating that information. And that young man, did you ever find out who had counseled him? Or
He told us that his parents and grandparents were a big influence. Both sets of grandparents and both parents.
In my classes, when I would have students who seemed to have the answer to every question I asked, I would say to them after class, how do you know? My grandparents were the ones that were telling me. Wow. So I don't mind my gray blonde hair. Honestly, I think I have worked into this, and so it's okay to give out this old information to the kids because it doesn't change. I don't think these rules change. A 40-year-old can show deference to a lady, even in business, without being
too patronizing and
exactly.
I think you're right.
He should just remain standing just that little second after, and if he doesn't hold her chair, at least he acknowledges a little bit.
There's a common theme in all of this, and that is you don't practice these habits to make yourself feel good. You practice these habits to make the other people or person feel comfortable.
Yes. And it's practice. It's learning the skills, making conversation with people, as hard as it is to do it, you sort of have to force yourself through it. And then it becomes secondhand. And it's just like dining skills. You don't have to worry when you're out on a date if you know the basics.
It's one less thing to have to worry about.
Exactly.
Once you know and you get down the information.
Yes.
And it makes for a more comfortable experience.
When I was growing up in Ohio, there was Case Western Reserve would have this fancy. I was in 6th grade, for Pete's sake, and my mom made me go to it with a friend's son, and it was so horrible, and I'll never forget. He was my date, 6th grade. And I looked across the table, and there was this poor girl. I mean, she was more nervous than I was. Her hands were just shaking and all this. And she went to cut, it's one of these things she went to cut. And her meat sent her peas flying. I'll never forget, I tried to turn my head, but I just couldn't help. And I saw her going like this. She was trying to hide everything. I thought, that's so sad. That's so sad. She's probably still talking about it now.
She probably is. It was probably me. But you just brought up something. Show the silverware again. There is a right and a wrong way to cut. If you have something, a large piece of a vegetable or a meat or something that needs to be cut, show the right way.
I will be happy to. Okay. So you take your silverware and just balance it sort of on your index finger and across.
Okay.
And then put your thumb on it. Okay. Turn it over and cut.
And then, but then the fork is still in your left hand, and if you're right-handed.
I love that question. That is so good. That is so good. We have had no coaching. We've had no coaching.
This is cold.
Okay. So this is called continental style of dining. It's European.
Okay.
And what it does is it allows you to cut put
And you're
the
eating with the
food
left
to your
hand.
mouth.
Okay.
You're eating with your left hand,
Wait.
even if you're a right-handed
But
person.
your fork is this
I
way,
know it.
not this way.
I know it. So that your lips are just taking this delicious Chicago grill steak
Yes.
into your lips
Okay.
without having to do.
Yeah, see, that's awkward. Exactly right. I hope you got a
Shall I
close-up of
show
that.
this to
Yes, because I see constantly people dropping their utensils because they're trying to switch hands.
Yes. Okay.
So-
here's
Okay.
the difference.
Cutting.
Continental style.
Okay.
You cut,
Okay. And tines down.
tines down.
Okay.
Eat,
Okay.
cut, eat. Just think how much more talking you can do. Okay, now Hutch loves this particular. Okay, so you do that. Got that. Okay, then look at
And then they're back where you started.
they're back where you started, except
And you can
they're gonna
easily
be
place
like
them.
This.
Okay.
This.
And that continental dining, that's acceptable anywhere?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely it is, and for the most part they use it on all television shows where they show the family eating. And just
Interesting.
look, watch it.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not this.
Right.
Okay,
It's not the fisted
it's
Hold.
it's
balancing.
okay, just like this. Easy, easy. Thumbs,
Thumbs.
boom,
And then
cut,
that works.
eat,
Okay.
cut, eat.
Okay.
Cut, eat. Okay, then when you're resting, it can be like that. Okay?
Okay.
Then when you're finished, it still goes together.
In the middle.
Whatever way, it can be whatever way, but
Okay,
just together.
just together, okay.
Here's American.
Okay. Switching hands. That's what I see, and that's what I do.
And
because I
the
didn't know.
tines are up, so
Yeah.
you have to open your mouth wider. It makes more noise. Cut.
Switching. Yeah. hmm
Okay.
I'm gonna have to retrain
it is
my left
not
hand.
as efficient
Right.
at all. And this just looks so much better. And you can talk and rest your wrists on the tables
Okay.
with your silverware like this.
Okay.
And it's perfectly fine.
Your interest in this came from your own children. Did your mom and your dad and your grandparents, did they know this and passed it down to you?
Not really. No, actually, I did take a cotillion class when I was like in the 6th grade.
Okay.
Mrs. King's cotillion class.
Okay.
And it was horrible. And she had a metronome sitting there, click, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. And it was just
dancing?
not fun.
Oh.
It was just not fun.
But
And
your
the boys
classes.
had to cross the room, and you were worried you were not going to get picked.
Oh.
And so when I bought my program from Doris Drysdale, she had already set in these wonderful things. And so I took what she had and made it's just a terrific program.
It sounds like
I'm
it.
so lucky.
Do you think you will ever do another class here, or
You know, I think about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, if there are people who would like to have me to give a class, then I will certainly talk with them.
that would be great?
So, yes.
That would be great. So
Yes.
you can contact me or Tammy, and we'll figure out how to make another class happen. That's great.
Even an adult class.
Oh, please.
No, I've given all my stuff here.
Well, it's true. If you watch the show, you just got probably $75 worth of information for free. That's
Exactly.
great. That is great. Well, Tammy, thank you so much for being here. We could take another hour and talk about things, but it's been such a joy to sit with you and chat.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your asking me. Thank you, Tina.
You're so welcome. And Thanks. I hope you come back on. We'll have a repeat guest
Okay.
performance. Thank you so much for joining us today on HeartCom, and we will see you again next week. Thank you.